Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Froggystyles here, back with CS Trades, and we got Line Trader here. So we're going to be interviewing him tonight, so you guys can get to know him. So Cam, go ahead and do your opener.
Well, on it again. Wow, just smashing it out of the park today. Thank you once again, Froggy, for inviting me. And I just met Lion the Trader for the first time. I've heard about him, of course, and listened to some of his podcasts and stuff. My channel has been asking me for a long time. There's actually a bunch of girls that have been asking me, hey, you should get this Lion Trader gun. He really does really good content. So they send me this stuff to my email. So I've watched a couple of your videos, and you have a different take on stuff, and I like it. It's different, which is good. That's good, because a different take on things, and when you come together, like in a situation like this, that's when things flourish. And that's awesome, man. I'm grateful to be here, part of this. Thanks, Froggy.
So first thing we're going to start saying is thank you, everybody, for coming. Please hit that like button. I'm going to provide a link in the description. I'll actually give you one here too, Cam, so you can link this to your team.
Oh, thank you, buddy. And Wolfpack, hit up
Lion Trader. Yep, this is his page. Go ahead, go over there and check it out. Subscribe to it.
Thanks, bud.
But Lion Trader, from what I understand, you're a technical analysis guy and you do DD. So could you let everybody know what kind of stuff do you do on your channel?
Yeah, so mostly we've been talking about DD type things because that's mostly what people like to see. There seems to be a persona that you can't do technical analysis on AMC within the community. I disagree with that, but mostly what we do is due diligence, reviewing different transparency rulings, theories, and whatnot that's going on. Really, we try to break things down to their fundamentals and figure out, okay, what exactly needs to happen in order for the short squeeze to occur. That's mostly what we cover.
Here's a good one right out the gate from Dude Man Diaries. Says Lion Trader dropped some good knowledge on the reg. You were just talking about like transparency and that kind of stuff that was being mentioned by Lou. And there's transparency, there's pawn shop, and I'm pretty sure you know some of that stuff. So if you want to enlighten us on either which one that you know anything about, you want to let the viewers know? Yeah,
so I mean, the NSCC, which is what Lou had been claiming is transparency. That's not transparency. That's the pawn shop rule. That basically is there to, from my understanding, to prevent a market collapse. So they take whatever other assets they're holding, so Tesla, Apple, Amazon, they take that as collateral, essentially, give them cash to be able to cover a position. Transparency that is in regards to Form PF, amendments to that for enhanced transparency. And then Rule 10C-1 is the other one. Both of them are still in the comment period, from my understanding. Well, let me correct that. SEC Form PF just left the comment period March 21st, and I haven't seen an update from the SEC since. What they do after a comment period is they will essentially review the comments, determine whether they want to make any changes to it, and if they do want to make changes, then it goes back into comment period. If there are no changes done, then it goes to the final version, and then they will vote on it, and then it will become active at some point after that.
Now, I did see one comment that was popping up saying, how come Lion Trader doesn't turn his camera on? He doesn't actually have one. So we at least got his voice. For anybody that knows who Lion Trader is, you know him by his voice. It's unique. It's probably belongs on the radio. So I wish I had that voice. But yeah, just quick question. What kind of mic do you actually have? Because it's pretty clear.
Sounds like a Shure.
That is I think it's a Ryzen.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the exact model.
Because I'm on the market for a new mic. My lavalier was supposed to be better than it was. It was supposed to be hanging here, but I put it down there by the speaker, because when we have a space call, they talk to it, not me. So I had to kind of pull it away from me and not use it the way it was intended. So so you said it was a Ryzen, RY?
The Razor, Razer, I believe.
That sounds good, man. I like the sounds good.
How much was it by chance? Just curious.
I'm curious too.
I don't exactly remember. I want to say around $100, so not too bad.
Wow.
Okay. Is there any model number to that?
Froggy, you're awesome. Pulling some DD on him.
1 second, I can
Put him on the grind here.
Sorry, guys, we're trying to get DD on mics here. No, I'm trying to upgrade mine. So I mean, like when I hear a good mic, it
Siren.
Yeah.
The Siren X. Razer Siren X.
You're getting a lot of love in the chat here, bro. Wolfpack, go over and show him some love, Wolfpack style. Can somebody go over to the server and show him how the wolves roll? Roll over into his channel. I'm going over there to sub right now. Thank you, Wolves.
Yeah, there's a lot of love in the chat here. So a lot of people know you already. Oh, there's a good one for you. Mario says, is transparency gone now?
No, that is false. Lou is, he's either just not verifying his information or he's just straight up lying, one of the two. So it's either negligence or just lying, but transparency is not NSCC 010. I did do a video a while back explaining what transparency is. If anybody wants to check that out, you can find it on my channel.
I'm going to put another link to that here to make sure that everybody has it. So give me a second. Let me get a copy of that. So here's another link to the channel for Lion Trader. Make sure you go over and subscribe to him. He does have good information, and he does have a good mic. So, I mean, that's a win-win.
Right on.
I'm actually jealous.
I can tell the envy.
Tyler is asking, how do we set high limit orders? To my knowledge, there's not really a way to do that. With TD Ameritrade, you can do a conditional order, which is where when price reaches a certain point, it will then automatically set the order for you. There are certain brokers that maybe will allow you to do it. I actually called TD Ameritrade a while back and was told that it's essentially on these two stocks that it was restricted, because I was asking about AMC and GME at the time. I don't recall whether they specified that it was only AMC and GME that they were restricting it on. But they essentially had told me that it's too much of an internal risk. That's what they were told. So what that means,
very vague.
I don't know what we can kind of take from that, but
right here, PC3 says, will Gme Dividend lead to the MOAS? It's going to definitely put some more pressure on the shorts, I think. Leo, do you want to touch on that?
Sorry, what was the question?
Will Gme Dividend lead to the MOAS?
I don't know. My first thought is that if they're going to do a dividend, then that could potentially cause GME to squeeze, and then AMC follows along, because obviously if GME squeezes, that's going to eat up a ton of capital and they won't be able to hold their positions. Yeah. The whole thing with the dividend is that if there are these synthetic shares within the market, those dividends aren't going to be going out to the synthetics, right? And we don't know how many synthetics there are. We can kind of get estimates, but ultimately we have no idea. In my opinion, it's better for us to have less synthetics, because then there is more money available in order to pay a higher price per share. So the idea that you need 20 billion synthetics, it's overkill, because you're going to get to a point where the money runs out. There's not an infinite supply of money to be able to pay whatever price you want. And that's kind of my stance on it. But ultimately, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to add pressure, and that's just about it, because it's going to be a buildup of different things. I don't think we'll get one catalyst, but there will be that one straw that breaks the camel's back, and we'll see it, because right now we got that weekly gold cross, and I mean with that coming in, that's a lot of money, lots of attention's getting drawn on it now, and we haven't even got started. We're just getting into it. We got weeks to come of uptrend, hopefully weeks, at least one more week.
I want to say something, Froggy. It's Lion Trader and myself we just met just now, but it's awesome how the three of us took just something that is fresh, and we already pretty much have an idea how it's going to go, and we both think all three of us think the same way. That is incredible, and that's cool. So there you guys go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I think we did the comment.
Yeah. Somebody had asked how long I've been in the market. Well over a decade. Been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's good that you do what you do with your technical analysis, and you're really digging into the details. That's definitely important. Yes, of course he has a face, Angelo. I hope so. But eventually we'll try to get him to have a face. But right now, at least he's got a voice and he's able to help, bring information out. That's most important. But we'll help him with the technicals and stuff. Maybe we can get him to pair up with his phone, use his phone, keep his mic separate. There's actually software out there to do that kind of stuff. And or you can just buy a little cheap camera like what I got and plug it in. I mean, I think I paid like $30 here, man. Yeah, I paid like $30 at Walmart for mine. Thanks. That's why when you move in, it acts weird.
That's awesome.
I don't know how people keep up with the comments.
It's
I'm trying to read them and listen to y'all.
Yeah, it's hard, especially hosting at Froggy. It's crazy. That's why I give the host. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nice to have a co-host. This is just a tip. Get a co-host so then you can, in your spare time, because while he's talking about something and going on in his tangent, I get time to read the chat and go down it. Now, I haven't figured out how to have a co-host or a mod play in the background and just pop up the questions, because they can sign into this account and actually do that all for you. And I haven't got that far yet, but it's coming. Here's a good one from Dario Lopez Jr. It says, can you talk about the price range for the squeeze? And that's directed towards Lion Trader.
I mean, it's really a difficult question. I'm positioned so that I'm comfortable getting out early. I don't necessarily care about catching the absolute top. As far as how high it could go, I just don't know. Theoretically, it could go $10, $15, $20, $30,000. But then the question becomes, how many shares are going to trade up at that price? What's the likelihood that you're one of those people that actually gets filled? Because the way that order books work is, if you put a limit order in, it operates on a first in, first out basis. So let's say that there's 10,000 shares that are going to trade at $30,000 price tag. Well, let's say that you have millions of orders there. It's only going to trade those first. Basically, it's hard to explain if you don't understand how order book works, but
you're doing good, man.
Trying to think of an easy way to explain it.
Yeah, it's a hard question, man. Trust me.
So, for example, in futures trading, I often, whenever I have price coming up to my target at the -236, price will touch my limit order. It will sit there, and my trade will not close. And that's because there are trades taking place, and it's closing them out. So whoever got in there first with placing their sell order, they get filled first with whoever's willing to be on the opposite side of that trade, if that makes sense. And so if enough selling pressure hits there, that's whenever, price pulls back and I end up not getting my fill. If price trades through it by one tick, then I'm guaranteed a fill. At least that's how it works in the futures market. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of why it's difficult to say exactly how high it'll go. And a lot of it, like I said, it depends how many synthetics there are. If there's, 50 billion, well, that's a little excessive, 5 billion synthetics out there, like I said, that there's a limited amount of money that is available to pay per share. And so that's kind of my concern. What happens when price has been running and running and running, and that money has run out. This is another thing I want to dispel. There's this rumor that there's this insurance fund of some 40 or 50 trillion dollars. What that is it's essentially the entire US stock market is essentially insuring itself. So in order to get all of that money, where is it going to come from? You have to sell off every single stock within the US stock market to get that $40 trillion. And now on the flip side of that, if all of that's being sold off at once, first up, who's buying all those stocks to get the money? And second, now I just forgot what the second was. I lost my train of thought.
Something about the insurance?
Yeah.
On how to get it?
Somebody that's actually real. Man, you're real. I can't believe this.
As you're selling off, the value of those securities is going to be going down and down and down. So even if it's, say, $50 trillion right now, as those are being sold off to pay for the squeeze, the value of that $50 trillion is going, it's not really $50 trillion, if you see what I'm saying, because all that selling pressure, the price of those securities such as Apple, Tesla, Amazon, they're all going to be going down as they're being sold off. So that's really just a myth, in my opinion.
Now, I have a question on that because now, me personally, I didn't believe in the insurance theory thing. I think it's the same thing what you're saying is they have to sell their assets to pay us. So basically, if I owe you $1 million, you'll see my bank account drop first, then it will transfer over to you, and then your bank account will go up. And it works the same way with stocks. Now, it's, basically a fire sale. And originally, I thought back in like December 3rd that there was going to be a crash, and then that would cause them to drop and us to rip. And everybody kept calling it negative beta, but it's not negative beta. It's just you're covering your debt. Would you think of it the same way or something similar too?
I don't know.
I'll link the Lion Traders YouTube again, so go ahead and check him out over there.
Can I ask one question there, Froggy?
Yeah.
So that's what I was talking about this a long time ago when I was very fresh to YouTube. That a lot of the 1%ers wait for these to only happen a couple times. What is it, off kilter of the market? And we're already showing signs of that. And this makes it even worse with a bleed of the market, which is a market crash. But I tried to explain it doesn't happen overnight. It slowly bleeds. It's painful. The economy doesn't help the way it's not helping it. It's off kilter already. And that's what they're worried about. This will be a fire sale, in my opinion. This is strictly my opinion. This is not financial advice. That's what the big wigs like Warren Buffett, all those people like that. This is where they make their billions. When these stocks go down to low, these blue chips, and they just like dividend plays, they buy them cheap and they're set for, and then when they go back up, they get these double whammies and it's like a reset button. And hopefully it works out for us with the MOAS. That's what my plan is, to hit the fire sale and just hammer on these things. And that's the second play, the second part. If it works out like that, the MOAS is the foundation, and then it flourishes into something even more beautiful. If it plays out like that, you're talking the same way as that I have, and I've done a lot of research into this, like multiple years of research. That's crazy. That's crazy. I thought I was alone talking like this. This is dope. Wow.
Very cool.
Somebody that has brains. I'm not saying anybody else does, but like you put a lot of thought into this. You have a calculating mind, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it. You as well.
Thanks, bro.
Let me get a couple more questions over here, or comments. The comments are looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Subscriber of yours since you started. Nice to hear you are on here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, more. How do we set high limit orders, Leo?
Like we talked about earlier, the brokers restrict it. I'm not too concerned with it. As price increases, just set the limit order then. I think the different brokers have different restrictions. I want to say that TD Ameritrade, who I'm with, has set it at 120% above the current price. I don't know what happens if you set it. So, for example, we just ran up to, what was it, $34. If you set a limit order 120, and I'm not saying do this, I'm just saying as an example, if you set a limit order 120% above the price then, and then the price goes down, whether it gets canceled or not, I'm not sure. But that is, they essentially have placed restrictions on how high you can set limit orders, and it's going to be a thing having to be done during the squeeze as price goes up. You can set conditional orders, which is where once price reaches a certain point, it will automatically set the limit order for you through, I believe you can do that through Thinkorswim. But other than that, setting a limit order right now, I don't know. I'm not able to do that. I don't have any limit orders set.
Now, here's a good question by Tampa Bay Buckeye. It says, Froggy, does Leo agree with your market cap evaluation of 2K per trillion? I have watched his bracket theory using a pitchfork chart plotting. I don't know what that is. You might have to show me that at another time. So what my theory is on it, remember when there was weirdos out there trying to say that we're going to get 500,000 per share and like $1 million, and they, like they were making some radical numbers that were impossible. And I came on and I said, listen, let's talk realistically speaking. How many trillions of dollars do you think these stocks can actually pull? And I came out with, 2.5 trillion to 5 trillion as being kind of like things went crazy and we got it. I'm not saying that if we hold to the moon kind of thing that it's not possible to squeeze the crap out of everything. Maybe it's possible. But talking realistically speaking, I was looking at about 2,000 per trillion, giving me a range of 5 to 10,000 per share. And that gives you a market cap of 2.5 trillion to 5 trillion. What's your thoughts on that? You don't have to agree with anything that I said. It's all opinion because we haven't got there. So we're just trying to speculate pretty much.
I think with it being in the few trillions is very possible. I think a good way to analyze it would be to look at the previous market crash back in 2008, look at how much money that cost, and it gives you kind of a gauge as to how much one of these events could draw, what the losses could be. I think that it would be a little bit more than what they spent in 2008. I want to say it was 2 or 3 trillion in losses. I could be wrong. I don't have an actual statistic in front of me.
It's crazy.
But the economy has obviously grown since then. So it's more likely that it would be larger than the 2008, in my opinion. Especially this has been going on for a long time. It goes all the way back to early 2000s. If you go to my channel, I've got an article on it that explains how these synthetics are actually created through a loophole at the DTC's clearinghouse. Essentially, what happens is market maker can naked short sell retail a share, meaning that they sell you a share you don't have. That generates an FTD. It's a failure to deliver that stock. That failure to deliver has to be covered. The way they do that is they dip into the vault at the DTC and they borrow a share and they deliver it to that retail buyer. And then it goes back into the vault. And so there isn't something in place that restricts the limit as to how many times those shares can be recycled. They don't keep track of it. And that's essentially how these synthetics have just gotten out of control. And it's a big mess. I mean, if for example, if the market maker creates all these synthetics and a company goes to zero, they get to keep the collateral money.
Yeah. And they don't have to pay tax on it either. Isn't that right? That's if it bankrupts it, right?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I would assume that it would be counted as income. Because, for example, if you buy a stock for, say, $30, and then they do this process, that money is deposited as collateral for that share they had to borrow to fulfill the FTD. And then if that stock goes to zero, I would assume that it gets counted as income, and they do get taxed on it. I'm not a tax expert. I would imagine they do, though. Or they might have some loophole. I don't know.
Yeah, because do you think they're actually covering any of the FTDs?
Well, technically, yes, because they're covering them through borrowing shares at the DTCC. I don't know whether they're actually. I don't know how many shares they could be delivering on, if that's what you mean. Like I don't know how many. For example, if you go out and you buy a share, I don't know whether you're actually getting a real share. If that makes, is that what you're asking?
No, that's exactly what I think too. I think
same
if
here.
you go through a broker app, there's a good chance you're not getting anything, but like they just take your money and say, "Huh, we covered you with cash."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Lions Trader, I have a question for you. Have you ever taken the float? This is how I came up with the conclusion. Well, with these big numbers of like 100, 500,000 a share. And I just kind of squashed it on the channel live. Taking the float, because that's all we can go off of, because you can't count the synthetics. It's just, they're invisible. We don't know how many there is, just to be fair. Or else it's just speculating. Okay, so the float times 100,000 a share. And then to ask Google is the best way to find it fast. How much money in the world and every currency is in circulation? There isn't even enough money in the world to cover it. So.
Right. And that is true. It gets difficult to determine that because let's say you could have a very quick spike that happens within a couple hours.
Yep.
And 10,000 shares trade up there. And so you'll see a wick for just a moment. And we see this all the time in cryptocurrency where you have a lack of liquidity on the order book. And so the price can move very quickly. It was a while back, I believe Bitcoin had dropped to like $6,000 in a flash crash because there's a lack of liquidity. So, I mean, it's possible that something like that were to happen, and that's how you see $100,000 price. But like I said, what are the odds you're one of the people that get filled at that price? So that's a risk that I think people have to account for.
You're talking it can tap it, like it can hit it and tap it, which like I know what you're saying. So somebody's asking, how do you know there's enough money currency in the world? Well, Robert Jeffrey, well, that stuff's recorded, my friend. Ask Google. Google knows a lot.
What did you can't, Robert asked it. Let me see.
Yeah, he's like, how do you know how much currency there's? Nobody counts that stuff. Actually, they do count. It's all has serial numbers on it.
And the problem isn't necessarily, so the total assets across the entire world is estimated to be around $4 quadrillion.
That's
but
correct.
The problem with that is that's held in assets. Those assets have to be sold off in order to get that money. Yeah. And there's also walls within companies. And so, for example, if you create a company such as an LLC, if your company is sued, they can't go after your own personal property. That's a barrier of protection. So how many of these assets are sheltered within companies and separated? So, for example, if you have a hedge fund that is short, that liability is held within that hedge fund. They aren't going to be able to go out to the employees or even the CEO and take their house and sell it off right away to pay for the squeeze.
Okay. It's like an incorporated company, pretty much how you're protected. Because I used to have an incorporated welding company. They can't come after my house if I claim bankruptcy. You're protected.
Exactly.
Is that what you're talking about? Like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool, man.
Yeah. So that's basically what I was saying. So even though there's $4 quadrillion of total assets across the entire world, not all of that can be used into squeeze because it's not up for grabs, you know? Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Cool.
So here's a question by Jeffrey. If the stock split on GME causes the moon, do you think that we will moon too on AMC? I believe so 100% because I think once you wipe one out, I think you wipe the rest of them out.
Somebody's saying that, Mark, you're thinking that I'm pushing FUD?
No, he's thinking I am.
Oh, what did you say?
Oh, because I was talking about what the price of the stock is. People get bitter about this, right? On my channel, we try not to make bag holders. We don't want people holding the bag, right?
Right.
There's been a lot of damage. So this group of 8, I've been trying to clear it all up. It's an ongoing thing. It's mentally damaged people, right? So potentially, it's just common sense, right? We pull greed off the table, like you said. There's other things out there we've all said to make money, right? Your brackets are different than anybody else's. Nobody knows what the other person's going to sell, and it really doesn't matter. Like your life, you don't need money. As same as Froggy doesn't need certain things in life. And nobody's going to come and protect you. It's mostly like the only way to prove the real shares is go get computer shares. Like it's a big complex problem that we have. And I can talk about this for like hours, but he's just calling me out on it, saying that I'm pushing FUD. So it is what it is. Whatever. He can have an opinion.
No.
Thanks, old man.
I'm not sure what the FUD is. I'm a little confused, but
sometimes they use that word a little too loosely, depending on what it is. Like everybody's intentions here are best of intentions. So obviously not trying to push any kind of FUD when you have good intentions. Just trying to be honest is all it is. I mean, my targets of 2.5 trillion to 5 trillion could be considered FUD based upon someone that thinks that the insurance is going to cover things. So
it's calling me a liar. He's calling me a liar.
Oh,
yeah, it's like a soft way of doing it. But yeah, do you think if the stock split caused GME to start ripping up, do you think AMC would go with it?
You asking me that? I think it's very possible, because you got to think that if they're losing money on GME, it's they're going to be getting margin called. I would imagine that they get margin called on their other positions. And then you notice that AMC and GME move in tandem; they move in parallel. A lot of people have noticed that. So I mean, it's very, very possible, but I don't know for a fact that it would. So I don't want to say I'm positive that it would, if that makes sense. But I would say it's very likely.
Here's a comment from DM. It says $100 or a new mic won't make you have his voice. See, that's what I was hoping for. Now all the hopium's out the window, so I'll have to just keep returning them until I get that voice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Too many cigars.
Hey, that's the trick. It might work. There's a lot of good comments out there for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up. I'm reading one and another one pops up.
This is a good question. I mean, lion trader, is he actually a lion? I mean, I've seen in cartoons there's been talking lions. I don't know. So until that camera comes on, there's a lion back there.
Like your like your sign, like Sagittarius. Is that what you're saying? Like
well, so my name is Leo, and growing up, everybody would call me Leo the Lion, and so it's just kind of stuck.
Yeah, kind of like Froggy.
Yep, I got my name from Jeremiah was a bullfrog, like long time ago.
That's one smart lion. Go ahead.
Thoughts on what could happen
tomorrow could look like in pre-market. I'll go first on this one, then I'll let you guys cover it real quick. I think we're going to be bouncing up. Well, actually, we're already up. I'm kind of hoping we stay up above 25. I'm hoping we defeat Max Payne for a second week in a row. So we can, only needs to beat it by like 25. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. So when the pressure comes on, I hope we stay there. Leo?
That's always difficult to say. We currently, if you measure from the lows to the high that we put in, I don't know the exact high. I want to say $34. We just held support at the 50% retracement. That's where these institutions begin buying, is at the 50, or selling if it's going down. So we are seeing computers engage there. So the next question is if that continues, if it continues higher. I'm hoping that it will, but I'm not too concerned yet. It's hard to say, what is actually going to happen. What I can tell you is that we hit support and we bounced off of it, and we've been moving up. Mm-hmm. So I would like to see that continue.
Cam?
I'm happy with both of you. I'm not going to change it because I feel the same way. It would just be it would be confusing people, right? I feel exactly what you guys just said.
Cool. We got lots more.
Okay. CS
Oh, okay.
I do not. What did it say? Oh, sorry.
There's all
Oh,
kinds of comments.
What did it say?
That's not him. I'm the blank
Oh.
screen.
Oh, somebody wasn't putting you down on my channel, were they?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I think one of them.
Not.
They said nice to see Leo. I think they thought
Oh.
that you were me.
Oh, okay. I read it wrong because that's not Wolfpack style.
Oh, blind. God, these are coming in fast.
Well, the comments, like the compliments, I just kind of run by them real quick so you can see. There's a ton of them coming in.
This is cool.
Hmm.
You can slow that down. Tony De Niro told me you can put it on slow mode, on your channel, just so you know, Froggy.
Yeah. You want to talk about the Gme Dividend Vote? They still have to do the vote, from what I understand, in order to do the dividend share split thing, right?
Honestly, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really been keeping up with GME that much. Yeah, I don't really know.
I think it's just like any other dividend when it's introduced. There's certain protocols it has to go by. I think it definitely has to go in front of a panel. I don't follow GME, but bringing a dividend is pretty much standard with the federal law. It has to meet a whole bunch of criteria, but
Okay.
There's another question here.
Okay.
Are any of you familiar with this so-called supposed ABC algo quietly being utilized by Citadel that cost them $100 million to manipulate the market? 100%. That's actually my trading strategy. So let me discuss that one real quick, because if you go to any one of my videos, you'll see I talk about the ABC triangles with my trading pattern. Just about all of my TA covers the ABC patterns, and yes, it's actually true. So I know it came from, what was it, Thomas James or whatever his name was, but they did purchase it for a large amount. They were suing somebody for, like, just looking at the pattern. They might have been remember this huge algorithm, which I doubt is possible, but they were suing them for like $40 million or something like that. So it is very true. They do use it. So, I mean, hopefully that lays that to rest. What do you know about it, Leo?
I honestly don't know anything about it, so I can't really speak on it. There's only one algorithm that I know that many different institutions use. It's not really used to, I mean, I suppose it could be used to manipulate the market, but it's mostly just used to generate a profit. And you can see it across all stocks, all different types of securities. And that's the measured move algorithm, where they buy at the 50 and they continue to buy until it gets down to the 618.
Did you hear about the Aladdin?
Aladdin? What's that?
Let me send you a link here. I'll give you something this will blow your mind.
What if
This is the Aladdin algorithm used by BlackRock. I'll share it to you guys so you can link it to your channels and stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep. And this is from my chat here. So go ahead and check that out.
Leo, do you study the algorithm, or you? I'm curious because very few people do. Like, do you?
Are you talking about the algorithm that I use within my trading?
Yeah, the actual algorithm vibrations, like the actual move candlesticks, like that type. Yeah, because there's lots.
Well, I only study the one with the Fibonacci retracements. That's the one that I've been studying that for many years. I found it to be very reliable. It's mostly that's pretty much the foundation of my trading, because what I do with my trading is I know that institutions are using this to trade. I'm essentially just piggybacking on top of their trades, because I know that their money moves the market. So I just hop on with them and go along for the ride.
Smart. You know, cool.
Frog, I think you sent me something here. Is this something that I'm supposed to look at now?
in private chat. Go ahead and link that to your subscribers and let them watch that video. It'll blow all your minds. But that's BlackRock's algorithm, and it's nasty. It's called Aladdin, and a lot of them use the data from the Aladdin stuff, and they share it amongst all of them. So you're seeing right now a battle between Aladdin and the ABC algorithm, and supposedly Citadel is like unbeatable, but they're going against BlackRock, and they're both just nasty. So that's what you're seeing is we kind of took sides with BlackRock. I don't know if it was accidental on purpose or if we're just greedy, got lucky, got in there, but we're like right in the middle of the battle.
How would I link this? You mean just like post it on my Twitter or?
You put it right in your chat.
Oh, in my chat. I don't think I have a chat.
I'll link it over on your channel real quick here.
That's cool, man.
So they figure out how to get
it's
to
a
it.
lot going on with this software, man, with this Restream thing. It's crazy.
A little bit of a learning curve.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
There you guys go.
Thanks, brother.
Actually, that won't show up over there. I'm not a mod. I think doesn't that block me?
You're trying to put it on his channel?
Yeah.
If
Here,
he has,
because it's a link.
yeah,
Yeah.
mine's blocked for that.
I'll give you a link to your channel, so then you can go over and post it. That's your stream right there.
Oh, this is my stream. Okay. Okay, one sec.
It's an amazing video. Let me tell you this. I was about to go to bed. I was up way past my bedtime here, and I started watching. It's only 7.5 minutes long. I watched it. I laid down. It just kind of blew my mind. I woke up in the morning, watched it 2 more times, and then I've shared it with every single person I've seen so far. It's really good.
Okay,
Thanks,
cool. I think I got it.
Now, this weekend, I do want to do like a DD, like roundtable kind of thing, talking about the Aladdin, because I think it's amazing that we should know about that. Might want to add in the ABC algorithm on top of it, on like what they both do and stuff like that, and why we're stuck in the middle of this battlefield of what's going on. But apparently these two fought it out before with Tesla being the main stock. So I think it's kind of interesting. But I think if I remember right, Citadel won against Tesla. So BlackRock's coming back for vengeance.
All right, let's go BlackRock.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see which one wins here. How can there be so much volume trading if the AMC shareholders are holding 90% of the float? Yeah, that's one of my questions. The second one is institutions own what, 32 or 34%?
34.
So yeah, so it's kind of weird. Where's these shares coming from?
So that would be wash trading. You see this a lot in cryptocurrency, where essentially you have two funds, right? So if you can just imagine, you got an apple on your left and an orange on your right, and they represent two different funds. They're essentially trading back and forth between one another in order to move the price. So if you think of price or volume as water, you can kind of move the water around with trading back and forth. And so for example, if you have a ton of buy volume coming in, the way you counteract that is increase the overall volume through wash trading. And so it has less of an effect, if that makes sense. If you have a cup of water on the table and you spray it with a hose, you can kind of make it go where you want, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it does.
trading, it kind of dilutes the buy volume that's coming in.
Wow. Cool. I never knew that.
Be resolved this year. I think it's more likely to be resolved this year because it's going to be more and more expensive for shorts to hold their positions, especially with the Fed increasing interest rates. This previous interest rate increase was 25 basis points. Basically, 25 basis points is 1/4%. The next one, which is in May, is going to be a 50 basis point increase. Essentially, the Fed sets the minimum interest rates, kind of the baseline for interest rates across the United States. And so whatever they're charging for the shorts would theoretically increase as that cost of money gets more expensive.
Here's another one by SUY64. It says, do you think the squeeze matter, or do you think squeeze matters will be resolved by this year, or are we looking at a longer time frame? My opinion, I think that when the CAT system thing goes into effect, and this is just based upon AMC Bigham's DD that he did, the CAT system was coming in like full effect July 11th. I would think that they wouldn't want track and trace of every share. Right now, there's no accountability, or not accountability, but traceability. So there's no timestamp saying that you purchased here, what broker app you went through, what market maker you went through, and then what time you received your share. There's none of that. So CAT system in July 11th is supposed to add all that. So there's no more of this dragging things around, because usually when you buy something, you want it now. You don't want to wait like 3-4 weeks or whatever their game that they're playing. What's your thoughts on it, Leo?
That's what I just answered about the interest rates.
Oh,
Becoming more expensive for them to hold the position.
okay. Let me get another question here. Yeah, 89 million shares being traded after hours on AMC. That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That means tomorrow's going to be hot. If that's what it's looking like now, that's a pregame show. Could shorts cover via buying deep in the money calls, especially covered calls sold by retail? Now, the only problem about covered calls is you're actually bearish. So you would want to just buy calls deep in the money. I'd be thinking you'd want to do it the other way around, but then that would execute them. Leo, you want to touch on this one?
I'm not an options expert. Whenever I trade options, I keep it very basic. I'm buy a call, buy a put type of thing. That said, the way you cover a short, the way a short works is you go to your broker, you borrow a share. Let's say that the stock is at $10. You then sell that share on the market. You get $10. And then let's say you buy it back at $5. You owe your broker that share, not the money. So then what happens is you buy that share back at $5 and you keep the difference. So you keep the $5. So they actually have to buy back shares in order to cover the shorts. You can't buy, to my knowledge at least, it wouldn't make sense to buy calls or options because you have to return shares, not options. There could be something that I'm unaware of. Like I said, I'm not a options expert, especially with complicated options trades. But to my knowledge, no, that you can't do that. And then as far as synthetics go, same thing. You would have to buy back the synthetic shares and unravel the synthetics.
I agree. We got some more love for Lion Trader. Got lots of it here.
That's good.
Now, is he actually 6'6"? Sounds like it. How about that Roche or Wrench Capital? Isn't that who that is?
Yeah, I've seen him.
His voice is insane. You can point him out a mile away. I'll just do is say one thing.
It's certainly a very distinguished voice.
Yeah.
CAD system. There you go.
Do you think the CAT system will be kicked down the road again? I hope not, because I'd like to see this play wrapped up so we can at least, buy something by Christmas. Now, what's your thoughts, Leo, on that one?
I don't know a whole lot about the CAT system, so I can't really comment on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. I keep on seeing that Citadel question coming, or the Sundial question going about like 7 times. Keep them coming around. Leo's man.
Thank you for all the love.
Yeah, there's a lot of it here, man.
It's not a bad group we have, man. It's pretty respectable. Thank you, everybody.
Anybody want to take this question?
One second, I'm gonna read it again.
Okay. Brokers keep making sell. Does that give hedges that much? Oh. It's like, go ahead.
I'm gonna say no, because if we're buying synthetics, so the question was for those, I don't know if everybody's listening, but they said if we keep buying shares and market makers and brokers keep making up fake shares to sell us, does that give hedgies ammo for synthetic shorting? I'm going to go with no, because my understanding of way synthetics are created is that if you buy a share, the money goes to they're essentially naked short selling. The market maker is naked short selling a retail buyer a share. They give you the promise that they're going to deliver it. They don't deliver it. So then a failure to deliver is generated. They have to cover that failure to deliver. What they do then is they go to the DTCC stock borrow program. They borrow a share from that lending pool. They deliver it to you, which covers the FTD. But what that does is it creates a synthetic share. Let's say the original $30 that you made that purchase with, it goes to the market maker, but then the market maker has to deposit that at the DTC in order to, well, I guess technically it's the NSCC, which is a subsidiary of the DTCC. But anyway, so that money goes to be deposited with them, not the market maker, the DTCC. The market maker then has to pay interest on that share that's been borrowed. So that money, it's not like it gets deposited with hedge funds, from my understanding. I don't really have any thoughts on the HYC. I don't see any value in the company. So I just, from my understanding, it's low grade ore. And I wish that Adam Aaron would come out and say, this is why we did it, because, I talked to them. It looks like we found these high grade ore deposits type of thing. There's a lot of value here. Fine. I would be all for it then if we can make a lot of money. But from what I've seen from Adam Aaron, as far as this mine goes, he went on CNBC and he said that, what did he say? He said they need another 800, it's either million or it's got to be million. Yeah. Another 800 million in order to be in full production. He talked about how he used his meme stock influence to kind of save the mine, essentially. But I didn't see him say anything that, okay, here's the value play. We think that we can make this much money off of the mine. I would like him to explain it. And I think that he owes that to us, to explain us what is the value here? How is this going to benefit AMC? Other than just saving a company. That's just my opinion.
Did you hear that there was ore there? Is that what you heard? Because I've been trying to find out test sample, core samples, anything on this mine, and there's nothing there. It's all covered up. I went last night and started digging because I'm a prospector by trade. I have gold samplers here with acid testers and stuff. That's what I do, right? So I can tell if it's worth money or if they're just covering it up because it's at 40 some odd. It's almost half the float's shorted, right? Without obviously the real float. I can't find that anywhere, and usually it's public knowledge. Core samples are available. There's nothing.
So the only thing that I'd seen was on the mine's website. It talked about how they had low grade ore. I want to say it was like a couple ounces per ton or something like that. So that was another objection I had. I'm like, okay, so you've invested in a low grade ore mine and it's not even placer gold. It's it has to be extracted through a sulfide. Yes. You have to dissolve the gold or dissolve the rock.
It's expensive as hell.
Yeah, and so that I mean, I don't see. I can't verify this, but it is suspicious. We know that Citadel is long it. We know that Citadel owns part of Mudrick, and Mudrick is long it. And we know that there are shorts. I'm not exactly sure who is short it. My understanding, because somebody had commented that, well, why can't you see that Adam Aaron is trying to short squeeze HYMC, and that will cause AMC to short squeeze? But that's not the way that I see it. I see it that, okay, the hedge funds are long this mine. What if what they're trying to do is divert capital from AMC over to this stock in order to short squeeze it so that the hedge funds can generate more income so that they don't get margin called on AMC.
Yeah,
that's something you got to think about.
Like it's one of the top shorted plays out there, and it's been like that for a while. It should have squeezed a long time ago. There's a reason for it. There's something going on there. It's insane. It's 44% short of float. It's like huge.
Oh, HYMC is?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know it was that.
Yeah, I got actual hedge fund squeeze lists. I'm going to supply them to you. Actual lists that are updated all the time on every stock on the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh wow. Okay. Thank you.
Oh well, no worries, man.
Government will step in and offer a flat price. Somebody asked just if I think that the government will step in. I don't know that they will, but I think it's I think it's a risk. It's well within their power, and I think that it's more likely to happen if it's really bad, if it's as bad as a lot of people suspect it is, and it causes a threat to the broader market, or even if they just run out of money. I think that Lou likes to say that there's no way that they would do that because retail would disappear. The reality is that the people that are in AMC is roughly what we know of. It's roughly 4 million investors, right? There's 150 million investors in the U.S. stock market. So if 4 million of them, all of them chose, I'm not going to touch the stock market again, it's not really going to matter. So if they're going to protect the market, retail, they're going to focus on protecting the majority of the economy. So I think that if it becomes an existential threat to the broader economy, it becomes more likely they would step in and do something. But that, again, it's speculation. I think it is a risk that people need to take into consideration. And that's why I talk about the importance of taking profits on the way up, because we know what's happening with the price going up. We're seeing it. You have the opportunity to take some profits. We don't know what's going to happen when they've completely covered. It could plummet right back down. And this is something that people don't think about. If it starts to plummet back down because they've covered, and retail start to panic because they're trying to sell it, all that sell pressure could force it down very quickly. So you have to weigh getting the most amount of money possible and potentially missing out on life-changing money. So I value it as, I tell people that if you're going to come into life-changing money in your life, that is worth more than getting the absolute top dollar you possibly can.
Yes. Pull greed off the table, man. I want to swear you're awesome. Finally, somebody that sees it. And you're yes, and Froggy sees it too. Like we've been wow. Yes. Sorry. We've been dealing with lube and all this. Just I'm not putting on it, but it's like banging your head against we're outnumbered, but thank you. Where'd you meet this guy?
Yeah, we had a get together before about Lou, and it kind of blew up. It was kind of a big deal. I mean, I thought it did a lot better than expected. Like everybody wanted to come in and talk about it, so it was kind of interesting. But here, this is a question by Todd, or not a question, but a comment. Aladdin is by BlackRock. This weekend, I plan on doing a DD thing covering the Aladdin and the ABC algo. Would you be interested in coming out on this weekend for like a show for that?
Me? It's going to depend. I'm going to be going out to my hunting land out west. I've got to do a little bit of, one of my cameras is, the battery's dead. I hooked it up to a solar panel, and apparently the solar panel's not charging it. So I've got to get that fixed. But if I'm here, then yeah, I can join for that. Yeah,
you'll be welcome anytime you want to come on. I might as well offer you this now. Would you want to be a partnership? I know Cam was saying something about that, but the partnership allows all of us to like promote each other whenever there's good content and whatever. And then you're always going to be welcome to come on anytime you want. So if I'm doing a market close and you're like, hey, bring me in, I'll just pop you in and you can just join in anytime you want.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm not always available just because I usually get done with a lot of my trading and stuff early in the morning, and then I kind of do my hobbies in the rest of the day. But if I'm available, yeah, absolutely.
Same here. I'm not always available, Froggy. We're cool like that. This is dope, man. Thank you, Froggy, for doing this, dude.
Yeah. It's nice. Like I said, it's nice having a co-host too, because like if you notice, there's a lot of questions or comments coming in. There's a lot of them. So just trying to keep up as it is, it's kind of tough. I think I'm actually falling behind, but
It's okay. Wolves, go over and help this guy out, man.
do you guys think the government? Oh, this is that same one. Do you think the government will step in and offer a flat price? The only way I think that will happen is if things get out of hand where it's going to destroy the financial system, which, I mean, they've made a mess. I mean, it's bad. This isn't like one stock squeezing and we got a crash. We got a mess sitting here, multiple different companies. So something bad's going to come of it. But yeah, they might stop in and say, look, this is all we're going to give you. These guys are all wiped out. They're dried out. And who knows? It's possible.
Holy crow, this chat bar's just rocking now that you agreed to this, man. Holy crow. You just lit my whole channel up.
When you transfer your shares from one broker to another, does capital gain short term get reset with a new broker? I'm not sure how that works, actually.
No, it doesn't, because you haven't sold the assets.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're doing is they're transferring ownership. I mean, not ownership. They're transferring what broker you're holding your securities with, your stocks.
That's actually good to know, because like if anybody's wanting to transfer from a crappy broker to a good broker, I mean, if they've been holding for a year, they don't want to lose that. So they might be stuck thinking they got to stay somewhere. So that information might be very important, because I wouldn't
watch transferring right now, though. I'd be very careful transferring right now. That's just right, Froggy? Don't you guys agree on that right now? Transferring shares around?
I think since the squeeze has not happened, I think you got at least 5 days before you have to worry about it. And transfers take less than 5. So I would think, since we're not in the squeeze, you got time. I wouldn't like drag your feet or anything, but if you're going to transfer, I mean, get on it before this thing pops up over like 50.
And if you can't transfer, sell Webull. If you're stuck with them, sell Webull and Robinhood first, if that's what you're going to do. That's just that's just what I'm not in it because I'm Canadian. I can't buy those, but.
JD says, fellows, what time frame? When should we worry that the squeeze may not happen? If the shorts have covered, that's the only time you got to worry, which, I mean, they haven't covered. Phil for real says that all the time, had the shorts covered. And if they didn't, what are we talking about? Because it's still play.
That's hilarious. Wow.
I think I just did that one.
We
got Agent Smith in here. That's awesome. I love the Matrix.
I don't know how you're keeping up with the comments, bro. I have no idea.
I have no idea. Luck. Yeah, appears the Aladdin is real, which is crazy. It's mind-blowing. I knew about it. I know that it's expensive to get the information from the Aladdin. They share it amongst a lot of the places. So I think that's how they got caught being in the wrong position, because somewhere that data said that this was a good stock to go short, and then somebody just jumped on the other side and locked them in. Margin calls will come way sooner, way before 100. Yeah, because they were having a hard time at like 72 or 77 or whatever the number was. And they've shorted it down at least 6 times from where it was at that point. So they're deeper in their position. And whether you call them FTDs, synthetics, or whatever you call them, it's still all the same thing. And so I think that number is much lower than 100. I'm thinking 30, maybe 35 tops, but we'll find out. Leo, you want to talk about that?
It's hard to say because it depends on their positions. Each individual, you could have one hedge fund that's extremely over leveraged, and if this thing goes up another $10, they could get a margin call. So I think it's going to be more of a staggered event where, as price goes higher and higher, more and more of them would be getting margin called. It's not as if they would all be margin called at once, in my opinion. It depends on how much collateral they have, because that's what determines a margin call. If you don't have sufficient collateral, the margin call is generated, and I mean, you know what happens after that.
Here's another good question here. Are synthetic shares tagged or accounted for? That's going to be kind of tricky because, like, technically, if Robinhood or Webull or one of those are making these IOU, I got you backed by cash things, um, they're not going to report those. But whenever you sell your shares, that broker has to back those shares up with cash. So if the price goes too high and they have to cover it with real cash, eventually it like they need real shares to sell at the same time as the synthetic ones to sell. So they might be able to have enough money, but at some point they're going to run out of cash just because they weren't holding real shares.
So from what I understand with this, if we're talking, I'm not sure about as far as, the brokers just selling you a share and then not accounting for it, but the market makers, the shares that end up being covered by the DTCC's lending pool, those are, now I lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Are synthetics accounted for?
Oh, so the tagging, right. No. So in the lending pool, those shares, the DTCC does not have a tagging system. They don't keep track of it. And that's part of the problem, is why they can create a synthetic share of a synthetic share of a synthetic share. Because whenever whenever you get your share delivered to you by the market maker, that share goes back into the DTC's lending pool. It's not tagged or anything, which then can be lent out again to cover another FTD. So from my understanding, as far as those go with the lending pool loophole, they don't keep track of it.
Here's another one by Dustin. It says FTD graveyard. Yeah, that's my thoughts too. Is there's an FTD like stash place where they're not covering them. There was a week back or 2 weeks back, and I think it was August. We were supposed to have a lot of FTDs covered, and none got covered. So it kind of blew my mind because if they were going to go cover all those, we should have been up like 300-400%. And since they didn't cover any, where did they go? That's the question. Like, where do they hide these things? So, I mean, you see what happened when like a chunk of options went in the money and they had to cover those. FTDs, when they get covered with the same amount, should have blew the stock sky high, and it did nothing. So that's why I'm thinking nothing got covered.
As far as, well, so if they borrow a stock from the DTC's lending pool in order to cover an FTD, they aren't necessarily having to purchase a stock. So that transaction doesn't necessarily take place on the New York Stock Exchange or to cause upward price movement. They're essentially just moving shares around in order to cover them. That's my understanding. There, I can actually give you all an article so you can understand it a little better what I'm talking about.
Now, there was a comment by not BlackRock, but Fidelity saying that transparency would expose the fact that there's double counting of lent shares. Do you think that that's a very good possibility? And do you think it's at least twice the lending? Or do you think that's exactly where the rehypothecation caused the problem in the first place?
So that's correct. That's the rule 10C-1, and Fidelity, I believe it was Fidelity. I'm pretty sure it was Fidelity, but they had actually objected in the comments to the SEC that this could cause the double. It could expose the double spending of loans.
Lending.
But it was lending of loans, something like that. But they were essentially saying that, if you do this, it's going to show that we're making synthetics of synthetics and we're relending the same thing over and over and over again. So let me see. I'm going to post this article. It's a really good read that explains the synthetic shares. I'm pretty sure that's it. Let me see. Yeah, that's it. Okay, and then let me see here, the private chat.
Yep, just toss it down there in that box.
So check that article out. That's probably the best article that you can read about the synthetic share creations process. That's the loophole with the DTCC.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, I like stuff like this. I always tell people if they find anything good DD wise, send it right over. I'll look at it, and then if I think it's good, we'll share it with everybody, because the faster we get out information, the better it is.
Did you already make a video on this? Did you already make a video on this?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I
Just
don't
asking.
remember exactly the title of it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, just in case anybody hasn't got the link to Lion Trader's channel, I'm going to post it again just to make sure you got it.
Do you mind if I share this link out to my channel? Is it because I haven't looked at it yet?
Yeah,
Cool
go
with
for
that?
it. It's
Okay,
just a
thank
public
you.
article, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I will say one thing about that. I believe it was Regulation SHO that is preventing brokers from doing this, but market makers are excluded. So market makers are the ones that are able to still take advantage of this loophole. And that's why I believe, is, for example, if you're doing payment for order flow and all the order flow is going to the market maker, it's kind of like it's a loophole in itself that, okay, the brokers can't do this, but the market maker can. So here's that order flow.
Here's a question by Steven. After the squeeze, what do you think AMC and Gme will settle back down at? That's a good question. It's going to be kind of hard to predict because, like, the stocks were shorted down way below what they're worth. So once the shorts are all squeezed out, the stocks will actually come back to its true value. I'm thinking GME will come back up to 1,200, maybe 600 bottom. So there's a little range there. With AMC, I mean, I don't know, maybe 200 to 300 per share is where it will come back down to settle. Just a thought. It could be a little bit higher than that because they're doing pretty decent fundamentally. So, I mean, I think they'll probably be the first one posting a positive earnings since GME missed pretty bad. Leo, what's your thoughts on GME missing on earnings and then ripping up shortly after? Wasn't that kind of like a crazy thing that happened?
Oh, this is something that actually happened already?
Yeah, their earnings popped up like, what was it, 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago? And they missed horribly. Stock tanked. I bought in. Thing ripped right back up. I made a fortune off of it. I didn't think it was going to do that, but I like to buy oversold assets. And then it popped back up, and like it didn't make any sense because there really wasn't any positive fundamentals that popped it back up. So
definitely weird. Typically, whenever you miss earnings or something of that nature, the markets don't like unexpected news, and so they react negatively to it. But it's very strange that it would immediately correct. I'm not really sure what to make of that. Why is no one talking about the short squeeze protection tool?
yeah, does somebody have a short squeeze protection tool?
I don't know what that is. I mean, it's possible. I'm unaware of it.
That would be kind of interesting to have anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's definitely something.
Make one, man. You're one of your indicators.
Yep. There's two indicators I'm going to be working on here that's going to kind of help see when things change on you. And they're more of like a market steady indicator kind of thing that a lot of people don't use. But I've been in like a couple squeezes, so I kind of want these for myself because, like I learned from Tesla, you can't watch certain things because they don't help you at all. So you had to kind of come up with things that actually work during that time frame. And I have a feeling, yeah, here's a good question. Comparing AMC or GME to the Tesla squeeze, how much more violent do you think this will be than Tesla?
I think it depends on how it plays out. What determines how violent a squeeze is whether it's going to be automated by computers or whether it's going to be the funds individually deciding that, okay, we're going to close a little bit out here, a little bit out here. So, I mean, ultimately, it kind of depends on that. The way that it works when computers go in is they're essentially just going to start buying up whatever shares are available. Now, for example, let's say that there are no, and this is why it's so difficult to figure out an exact price target, because let's say that nobody, not a single share, is willing to trade between the current price and $1,000. The price will go to $1,000 very, very quickly because there is a lack of liquidity on the order book.
Mhm.
So a lot of weird things like this can happen, especially if computers get involved and they just start buying up shares. I think that the way that they're going, how they are just so aggressively not wanting to close out their position, it seems likely that it would be a violent type squeeze just because it's going to get too expensive for them. That's just kind of what my gut tells me. Because I think if they were going to do a more gradual closure of their shorts, then we would already start seeing that, and it would just be steadily increasing, which would be smarter for them to do because it's going to end up costing them more. I think what they're thinking, because if you're already screwed because you're so overexposed to being, from your shorts, you're so underwater that if you close your position, you're going to go bankrupt. It's a free roll in that if you try to prolong it as long as you possibly can, and I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that I think this could be what they're thinking, is that if we can try to delay it as long as possible, there's a chance maybe something happens and it plummets and we get out of this somehow. But the other option is that, okay, we just give up, we close, and it rips and we go bankrupt and we lose everything, if that makes sense. If you have nothing to lose by prolonging it and everything to gain, that's to their advantage. But like I said, with interest rates, I don't think they're going to be able to prolong it much longer because it's going to become more and more expensive for them. Does that make sense, kind of?
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. That's what I said. There's two different types of algorithms that I've seen ever since I've been doing this. The violent type, and then there's a curvature. There's spiked, pointed ones, which are violent. They're snappy as heck. They sit there and vibrate and crank, and then just kick breakers like instantly almost. And those are violent. They just vibrate, and then they just bounce, and then that's what kicks the breaker. And then there's the curvature ones that was the Volkswagen squeeze. Okay. But you can't really compare the two because one's little coming out of the paper trading era. Now we're into digital, but I've only seen the two where you get the long curvatures on the runs instead of the sharp points. That's what I've seen. I've been doing this for a long time, but that's what I am really intrigued by is algorithms. So that's all I've seen is two different types. So that's just my opinion.
Reg asks, will the gamma squeeze start next week? Your thoughts? One thing that I've been tracking is actually the max pain on what options actually go in the money. I will be putting out videos definitely on the weekends for AMC and Gme, trying to break down whether we have a setup for like a gamma ramp or a gamma squeeze type of thing that will happen next week, Monday and Tuesday. So you can actually like set yourself in a position to go and kind of gobble up those gains, because the goal is to make money whenever you see them. And if I see it, I'm going to call it out. So that's what I'm going to be tracking. I've done it with Gme and AMC so far, and we'll have to wait till tomorrow to see if we can call it another week and see if we can get lucky and get enough. If we get to 2020 or 25, yeah, definitely Monday, Tuesday, we're going to have a big pop. So just keep an eye on it and kind of root for it, because I mean, that's where the money's made, and that's my job here, is to inform people so they can make money. So keep an eye out for my videos when I put them up for this weekend, because if we do got a gamma squeeze rolling, I'll let you know. Here's a good question by Testicles. I like his name. Every time I've ever heard of it, I've always thought it was kind of cool. Frog, does that mean that you believe the squeeze will last at least 5 days? Yeah, because if there's going to be halts in there, they're going to be 2-day halts, them big ones. So those are the ones I worry about, but those will be positive signs, because if they halt the market for 2 days, it's not because it's a bad thing. It's because they need to bring in more truckloads of, I don't want to say truckloads, it's all digital anyways, but truckloads of money, because like places like Robinhood, The reason why they turned the buy button off is because they had no money.
Okay.
And now they're going to go and wait 2 to 3 days for the clearing, and they can get their money. Would you guys agree to that?
50%.
50%?
Yeah, which I agree on some of it. Well, there's liquidity problems with Robinhood. Yeah, but it depends on how you look at it. You can look at from the algorithm is usually a cool down period of algorithm vibe. Or a halt is usually a cool down period on the way up or down. There's good ones, bad ones. It can be taken multiple ways. It's the algorithm vibration cool down period, right? So that's just the way I look at it. But yes, you're right. You're right on. It could be either way. We don't know yet, right?
I personally think it will last at least 2 weeks.
Oh, the length. I think it could.
Yeah.
The what we're in, the most of us, about a week or so, but I say up to a month and a half. The reason why I say that is because of all the damage that's been done across the trading thing with some of these people with these high insane numbers and mentally damaging people. So they're going to go, is the squeeze going to happen? Well, it already happened. So they're going to be bag holding. So it was like this before the squeeze. You know how you have the knife's edge, and that's what was talking about, the knife edge. I'm planning to get, that's hard to get that knife, that point edge. It falls like a knife, right? I'm not even planning to get that. But then it was like this before. Now it's like this on the back end because of just the amount of people that will be holding, right? And that will stop it from having us. It'll be kind of like GEM is right now, how it goes down in segments. And I think, but the main squeeze, this is just my opinion. Okay. We'll have to wait and see it play out. That the main core, and I know the people on my channel and stuff, probably about a week. The Volkswagen squeeze was 5 days, right? Give or take a couple hours. Like I said, I got the video live. You can go watch it, right? So, and those were $400 pushes in 10 minutes, candlesticks, right? So,
Leo,
you want to touch on that?
Yeah, buddy.
Let's see. Hold on one second. What was the question was? So what I've done to kind of estimate, because of wash trading, like normally what you would do with to determine the length of how long it would take to cover is you take the average trading volume and then you look at how many shares need to be covered. Problem is we don't know what both of those are because of synthetics and because of the wash trading. So what I've done is I've looked at the last two run-ups, and if you just real simple, if you draw a line from the low in would have been January around $2 to that peak, and then you just take that same angle, that same slope of that trend, and put it over the June run-up, it's about the same. And so if you do that again from wherever we're about to run up, using that same angle of price increase, you can kind of gauge how long it will take based on what price it's going to. So for example, obviously if you keep that same rate of price increase going up to 1,000, 2,000 or whatever price it on the blank, that kind of gives you an idea of how long. What it doesn't account for is halts. So that could go a little longer. But I was thinking around a month.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the same thing. At least 2 weeks, probably a month. Like, because you figure with the CAT system going into effect, they're going to want to hide a lot of this crap. So, yeah, that seems like they're kind of starting things a little early, which is kind of nice for us. I didn't want to wait until July 11th to find out if it's true.
Someone, Miss Hollywood 2322, I just noticed they, I guess they paid to ask a question. I want to make sure I answer that. I think he's either compromised or I think he sees things and then he starts talking about them. And he doesn't really know what he's talking about. That's kind of my opinion. They're talking about Lou. Sorry, they're asking if Lou is compromised.
Oh, Lube. Yeah. Lube.
That was actually the next question. Do you think Lou's a paid shill? He's definitely paid something because he's definitely not very honest.
Yeah, what's your take on it, Lion?
So I started out my trading actually whenever, and I'll get to this, but this kind of goes in part of it. I started out my trading when I was 15. I had opened up a trading account with Scott Trade to trade, but I did it through my grandmother's name because I'd been living with her at the time, and I got started with this I forget the group's name. It was like Inflation something or another, but they were essentially a call service, and I was naive and whatnot. But the guy's name was Jonathan Lebed, who was part of it, but he was essentially a pump and dumper. And they would get all these people to buy into the stock, and then they would pump it anywhere from 80 to a couple 100% or whatever. What I would do is I would just scalp out 20% or whatnot, because I knew that's what they were doing. And I get the impression that Lou is in his little group there are trying to do the same thing to people, where they're kind of massaging them into these other trades. Here's this other play that we can do. Why don't you you want to make some more money, sell out of your AMC and go into this one. I got a lot of hate, not really hate, but people trying to correct that Lou didn't say to start day trading, but his little friends did. He's mentioned that in the past. What's really suspicious to me is that he kept on saying this March 3rd date. I don't know where he got that from. I reached out to the Blue Ice guy, and where's this date coming from? What document? He just kept sending me these random SEC filings that had nothing to do with transparency. I'm assuming what he was thinking that I would do is not read the documents, but I read them. I'm like, this has nothing to do with transparency. You're just sending me random things. I'm assuming that what you're thinking I'm going to do is just take your word for it. But so I think that it could be a number of things, but I don't listen to him. That's just my opinion. And I certainly wouldn't take any trades, any stock suggestions that they have. I wouldn't do that. Absolutely not.
Here's another question or comment. You guys going to do an AMC support group after the squeeze? Some of us might need it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some shaky people after they close out of their position. When you start seeing numbers pop up, I'm probably going to be one of them. Do algos run algos, or do people run algos? People actually program them. It's the same algo. It's just that from what I understand, there's like computers upon computers side by side, and they just go in and they program each one to do a specific stock. I can only imagine what kind of mess that looks like and how hot that room would get. It'd be such a nightmare, because I had mining rigs, and I had 2 of them, and like in the winter, I was cooking the house at 85 degrees. So I couldn't imagine having a room with that many computers in it, like just processing every order. Be stupid.
The computer program is pretty simple, actually, because I made that trading bot. Remember?
Yeah.
It's a Python Linux program, and I don't want to get into it it's hard, but it's not as hard as everybody thinks it is. It's just you'll
have to show me how to do that kind of stuff, because
you can make one, but they're highly illegal.
No, they're actually legal, because that's why they sell it.
I tried. I'll get into it. People on my channel knows I made one, and I showed it live. Produce it. It made like $40,000 in one day off fractionals. But then I tried to get it patented, and I got. I'll show you the documentation, and it was told it was highly illegal. But I might be using it for counting cells in cancer patients now.
No.
So, I need money to get it patented, but it's on hold. I do have all the prototype stuff here.
Because I know Matt Kors was working on one. Not to bring him up, I know that's like a touchy subject of you.
No, it's fine.
He was actually making his own algorithm to that same platform, and I was like, well, that's exactly what I want to do. And then that's when I found out about these other ones out there, and I'm like, this is nuts. What a weird market we live in. They're all doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Use multiple brokerages in case of shenanigans. That's actually not a bad idea if you only have like very few shares. Because if something ever happened where your broker went bankrupt, I'll say, just hypothetically speaking, you got 20 shares and it's over on Robinhood. And the reason why I picked them of all of them, I think they're going to get smoked first. But if they get smoked, you got insurance money that will probably cover those 20 shares. So it really wouldn't be too bad if you were spread out. Like, I do have multiple brokerages too. And I thought about doing that, was putting like 100 here, 100 there, 100 here, and then like several thousand over here, just because, like, you can't see Fidelity losing like $9 trillion. I think that's what they got. It's like 9 trillion or something like that. I couldn't imagine them going broke. So maybe that's why we're all going to Fidelity. How many percentage of the shorts interest did they cover in June? 5 to 7%. Actually, this is what's going to blow your mind.
What is it?
Actually, none. They covered none. And what they did was they created, you've seen a lot of these little pump and dumps. They do it in the dark pool. They buy up a bunch of shares and they're like, oh, look, it's going to squeeze. So they tried to play a game. They got caught. I can show it on stockgrid.io. They actually bought in a bunch of shares and they pushed the price up, and then we just took it. And they must have panicked and like did whatever they do to try to drive the price back down. Actually, let me pull that up. I'll do it right here while everybody's right on here. So I can
Cool.
give you an idea, because June is actually still available.
Somebody just super chatted somebody. I don't know who it went to, but thanks for whoever went to. We can't see that on this restream.
Oh, I think those are popping up here. I was responding to them in the.
Oh, were you? Thanks, man. That's cool.
All right, so here's StockGrid. Let me make sure it's pulled up there, right? Get that pulled off there. So here's StockGrid.io. If you guys want this link, let me know. I'll provide it in the comments here in a second here. You come down to this thing right here, and you can see what happened in June. And you can see right here, these two great big buy orders. They were pumping this stock to try to push the price up. They were trying to screw with us, and it backfired. So when you sell all them shares and try to drive the price down and it keeps ripping, they take the other side of the trade and they drive it down. And that's what it is. I call them IOUs, but they went way down here where they took a lot of our money. At one point, they owed us, I think it was like $30 billion or something like that. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. Now I'm going to post a link to this. So
What
you
is
guys.
this? Yeah. What is this, man?
I'll link it. This is
what
for you guys.
program
Make sure you post this on your channel. I do have training videos on this.
that looks like Linux.
No, it's just kind of like a generic site, but they actually have daily information that updates 2 hours after the market close.
Oh, no, I meant the program looks like it. That looks like sort of like the trading. Yeah, I'll show you this trading. You're going to trip. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's for anybody in my chat. Just link it to your guys' channels.
For
so
sure.
They can go and play with it. It's already set for AMC. So all you do is pull it up, go down, look at it. It also does show you other stuff on here too. Like if you're interested in data, if you come down here, it shows you what their short percentage is. Down here, it shows you the volume that came into the dark pool, so you can compare that against the market volume. You can divide it out, figure out your own percentage, so you don't have to go to Stonko tracker. Here's the short exempt volume. Most of the times that turns it into an FTD. There's your short interest volume or your short volume that they used, where they kind of, I think it's an internalization is what they're doing, but all your information is here. It also tells you down here in the key that a positive position with the money will be bullish and the other negative side will be bearish. So it's pretty simplified kind of stuff, but it's confusing when you start looking at the like I said, if you look at this as an inventory where they have inventory here and here they have rain checks, I mean, it makes total sense at that point, and everything just kind of correlates. Where you can see we popped up, that was them buying it, and then they sold it back in. So that's what you're seeing. They pump and dumped it.
Wow, I like that. That's cool. Chart.
So it's just nice to have information like that.
Thanks, Wolfpack, for all the love you're showing us. I really appreciate you.
How are we able to beat Aladdin and the ABC algo? Heck, can't even beat my computer when playing chess. I think the fact that they're both fighting each other and we get to come in and kind of nudge one a little further over, it gives the other one an advantage. So, like I said, Ken Griffin's known for being like the best on the market. and they're going against the big dogs. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, BlackRock could have blown this play up a long time ago. They could have been like, look, give me a chunk right here, game over. But for some reason, they're not doing that. Is E-Trade risky as Robinhood and Webull? Leo, you want to touch on that?
I mean, it's a broker. I mean, I don't really know anything. I mean, I think the riskier brokers are going to be your smaller brokers because obviously they have less capital behind them. I mean, I get asked all the time, you know, what brokers are safe. And I just don't know. I can tell you that probably the bigger ones are the safer ones, but I have no way of really knowing for sure. So,
yeah, I would think personally E-Trade's been around a lot longer, so they're probably safer for this kind of stuff. They survived 2008. I would think they would survive maybe the next one. I mean, yeah, Volkswagen is not the MOAS, so it's a hard comparison. Maybe they all get blown out. Who knows? But hopefully they were smart enough to do the right thing and not give out as many synthetic type of shares. Robinhood and Webull, I mean, they're so new. I'd expect them to fall first.
We got a $200 donation here, man, and I'm trying to read it. From Mellow Doug. Sorry, it keeps on going. 1739. I can't read the comment, buddy. Is there any way you can pull that up? I just want to be respectful. They're wanting a question answered.
Let me see if I can find it.
I don't see a comment on my end.
Oh, okay. Because if you don't need to pay that kind of money, man. Like if you're doing that first, that's crazy. I must be reading this wrong. Okay, I'll read it. Oh my God! Someone donated me $200 so I can get my question answered. I'm really familiar with CS1. Oh, no one knows Frog. Oh, it's weird because it bounces so, but nobody knows me. I don't know. I can't read. It's bouncing too much. My eyes. Damn, that's going fast.
Whoever just did that, if you could go to my channel and just type it out.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll keep an eye out here for it and see see if I can see it.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount. Go buy shares. Seriously, I'm saying it from me. If it's going to me, yeah, you don't have to do that.
Did you catch what their name was? So I know what to look for.
Mellow Doug. He's on. I've seen him before, just earlier today. Really nice guy, as far as I know. And Mike Milberg has the actual measurements for the mine, the core samples, tons. I already got it, bud. Thank you so much. I'll make a video on that. Thank you, brother. Sulfide material. Yeah, that's it. Wow.
Question here by Wally says, guys, shouldn't AA have paid off some debt and then offered a dividend like Tesla and Gme talking about doing? I don't think Tesla offered a dividend, did they?
I don't know.
That I'm aware of.
I never heard of them.
But technically, Adam Aaron doesn't have to offer a dividend. It would be nice to add the dividend in there to cause the problems. But everything he's done up to this point has actually saved the company from bankruptcy, and it's solid. So it's not going anywhere. So now all we got to do is just let time squeeze it out.
Yeah, so, they had a dividend in 2015. Wasn't it the dividend in 2015 on AMC?
There was one in 2020.
Wasn't that long ago.
20.
Oh, 20. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Froggy.
Yep. Give me a second. I'm trying to read a couple more here.
I'm not seeing
caught up kind of quick.
Comment come through over here.
Okay. I'll get my mods to deal with it. Thank you, my friend.
Cam, if you want to ask him a question, you can.
I'm
trying to find some more.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
You want to ask him a question? I'm trying to read a couple more here and find one.
Okay. There's actually a question that comes up because I'm Canadian. I can answer this. Wolf, what do you think of Wealthsimple for Canadians? It's a zero commission platform. It's not free. It's like Robinhood Webull. Just so you know, it's false image. They make fractionals on it. cents, and it adds up to lots a year. It's the same kit and caboodle. I do have shares with them. I'm not going to disclose what I own because I just don't want anybody to feel out, and it's not a competition, and I don't own like a ton through there. I own through the bank. I feel safer through the bank because they've never had a push on them against to have to come up with money. They're new. They've never been over leveraged before, but so I'm with them. Just put it that way. There's a lot of us with them, but I didn't put most of my shares with them. Put it that way. I have a little bit of concern. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. So I'm kind of 40-60 on it. I like to stay with banks. I don't mind paying the $9.99 per transaction for the security. I'm with the TD Bank in Canada. Thank you. Oh,
here's a interesting one. I'm not sure what this one means here.
Yes, Mellow Doug. I'm still doing the shotgun approach. I have the same approach for all of my trades. It's not different for AMC. But yes, my bracket videos are still valid.
Can you explain that? Like what they mean by that? Just so, because I'm going to be asked that question on my channel. Like a direct approach, you mean?
So this has to do with taking profits, and I use each bracket has a percentage of my total holdings, and so for example, you do 15% at your first bracket, 20, 25, 30.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I saw my name on that comment. What were they asking?
Here's a question. What do you all think of Tony DeNaro? Is he good? His DD is pretty solid. I mean, whatever he's put something out, you can count it as being gold. So, especially when it's DD, because when he digs into the facts, I mean, he's right on.
I don't have any issues with Tony at all. Straight up. He's always treated me fairly.
Yep. Leo, you want to touch that, or you don't have to if you don't want?
I'm sorry, I was reading in the chat. I mean, I like Tony. I don't pay attention too much to the YouTube. I see things here and there. We briefly talked about doing I guess a collaboration of some kind, but I'm typically busy and we didn't get a chance. I don't have a problem with him. I think he's a nice guy.
Big Al. Wasn't Lou charged and convicted of fraud? Mm-hmm. From what I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
Just makes me wonder why we're all following him. Like, not all of us. I mean, I'm just saying, like, wonder why so many people follow him knowing that he's been convicted of fraud. I mean, what if he does something shady again? Seems like he is doing shady stuff again, so. Well, I don't think I'm going to get through all the comments, but I'm going to try to.
No kidding.
There's a lot of them here.
So I guess this Mellow Doug had internet issues. That's why he didn't reply back. He's back on here again. Doug, do you want to go over to CS Trades 101 and throw that on the board? My mods will grab that comment. We really respect trying to answer some questions. It's really hard to do this with a restream. Thank you for respecting that.
Yeah, he's commenting over here that he do $2, not $200.
Oh, okay. Because the chat's going so fast.
Yeah, you scared me there with a 200. I'm like, we don't really want 200.
I was going to return it, actually. I was going to actually get a hold of him and just tell him to go buy shares. Like, that's an approach. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really here for the money. I'd prefer him to have his money.
Pantheon. Yo, what's up, bro? He's just in the chat.
Pantheon. There's another good guy right there for some DD. That guy covers some good stuff. So I'd like to get him on here one day. Speaking of Pantheon, there was a comment that I'm looking at right now that I'm not going to post because it's got a swear word in it. Somehow it snuck in. Oh, it snuck in on your side.
My side.
It basically says F Adam Aaron. Pantheon, like, he's got a really good presentation that he covers on how, like, all the good things that Adam Aaron's actually done. And if you look at it, who's the one person that started bashing him first? it was Lou calling him popcorn, and that's where the start of the disrespect came in. And then he expanded that and basically talked people into turning against their own CEO. And
I did it once. I always stand up for things I've done. When I was back in the day, I didn't understand it. And Pantheon actually came up with the correct information on the $72 push up. Because there's nothing out there and I was by myself, there wasn't that many creators, and that's not the excuse, but it was me against the world at that time. There was no until you guys came along. And yeah, I was misinformed that he collapsed the $72, and that's not true at all. He doesn't even trade on the day trading. It's at night. So yeah, that was my bad, and I've corrected it. So
Pantheon, what's the name of that video that you have for that story timeline of Adam Aaron?
Oh, that's good. If
you can give me the information on that, maybe I can pull it up, or if you can get me a link somehow. I'm not sure how I can get it since you don't have a Twitter. I'm not even sure. Maybe I can just, we'll figure something. Because he's got really good information on Adam Aaron. Do you want to cover that one?
Which one? Oh, sorry. Which one? I put something up for you to read, but which one, brother?
Oh, you want to cover that
Wealthsimple
comment that you got there? The one you just posted up?
Oh, Super Chat 9.99. US, does a stock split change tax rates in any way, like long back to short term? Hope that makes sense. Schwango Bango. It's Bango Schwango, but it's from my channel, a joke from a long time ago. Bango Schwango, I always say that. But the question is, I'm not going to answer that because I don't know anything about US to do with tax stuff. I'm very open on that. That would be for you guys. It's different in Canada for that kind of stuff, or a lot. I just don't want to misinform anybody. Did you want me to reread it?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Let me make sure I got this here. He says, debt history of AMC. I found the video. I'm going to link it here for you guys to share out there. Definitely stop over and check out Pantheon's channel. Subscribe to him. His information is like on point too. And he's part of the partnership as well. Here's the link for the guys on Restream here. Send that out to your channels and let people go check that video out. It's really good. Lots of information, a lot of misunderstood information, but that video I just posted right there in chat from my channel. That's Pantheon's. It's called, it already moved up here. It's called Debt History of AMC. And it basically shows you how Adam Aaron did a lot of stuff for the company. And I think he's mainly misunderstood just because of the fact that Lou was bashing him and he got the sentiment to turn against him by calling him popcorn and whatever. So Pantheon does a really good job of bringing the light to the subject.
Yeah, he's saved a couple companies too. I've watched the video, but I just don't want to make remarks to it because I don't have it in front of me. Froggy, can you answer that question? I pushed it off to you because it's to do with the U.S. Market with money, and it's on the private chat if you want to read it. Because I don't want to answer that. I don't want to speculate on something to do with taxes. I don't know enough about it.
Does a stock split change taxation rate in any which way?
No.
Long back, short term. Hope that made sense. Yeah, I don't think it would because you're still holding. Okay. Nothing changed.
Thank you, guys.
So Leo's right.
Okay, thank you. I just want to mess anybody up.
Well, I was planning on doing this for only an hour, so I'm going to apologize to anybody else that we didn't get to your comments. I mean, I tried. There's a ton of them in there. I mean, you guys beat me pretty good. But I'm going to try to wrap things up here because, like I said, the goal was 1 hour. We went 2. But this was a really enjoyable interview presentation kind of thing. I'd love to have you back on anytime. But I'm going to let you guys do your closings and just basically tell about your channel, promote it. I'm going to link it. So Leo, you can go ahead and go first.
Okay. My channel is Lion Trader on YouTube. Twitter's Lion Trader 7. I consider myself to be a professional trader, doing it for a living for many, many years now. Yeah, so we covered DD, and I do the occasional technical analysis as well.
Right on, man. That's dope.
Cam, you want to wrap your end up?
I'm just like, my mouth is hurting from smiling so much. It's nice having somebody that that has taken the time to actually to study stuff and to look into stuff into detail. As much as like me and Froggy myself, I can tell because the answers and just the you can't just come up with some of these answers unless you've actually spent lots of time, because it doesn't make sense to you. But it's crazy. There's definitely going to be some killer stuff coming out, and Wolfpack. 90% of the stuff that I've been working on for 8 months, it's been, a lot of it's been finalized. So it kind of makes me feel good as a person. You can't, there's nobody to turn to with these answers, right? I've shown everything I can, my DD, and yeah, it's nice having, it's been verified like 2 or 3 times. So yeah, it's, wow. Thank you, Froggy. I really appreciate it. And mods, thank you so much. You've done an awesome job. Wow. This is probably one of the busiest chats I've been in. Like, it's crazy how it's rocking. You guys had your hands full. Thank you for the creators in the chat. I've seen multiple creators in the chat with supporting, helping, trying to answer questions too. Like, wow, it's just this team thing. It's gravitating towards together. This is huge, and it's just, sky's the limit. I've noticed that sometimes we disagree on some things, but it's no head button here. It's like, oh, okay, and just tell you a reason why you think that. Oh, okay, that's cool. Respect, right? Because it can be looked at different ways. You don't drive a wedge between things, right? It's just, it's nice having decent people around you. Anyways, Wolfpack, I love you guys. Keep it real. Thanks, Frog.
I want to thank everybody for coming. Make sure you Will Smith that like button because we need it.
I love
and,
that.
Yeah, pretty much united we stand, divided we fall. I mean, that's it. We stand united as one big community. And it's nice to see that the division in the community is starting to go away and people are working together to do what's best for the community and not just each person. So we got this like great big team thing that we got coming together, and I think it's amazing. And I'd love to have everybody back on another time. I apologize that we didn't have enough time. We only had about 2 hours, so we'll have to do this again, definitely. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. Check all these channels out, subscribe every which different direction, and Will Smith them like buttons. So I'll see you guys at another time. And everybody that's on here, stay in for the backstage after party thing, and I'll see you guys later. And peace.